Hey guys, welcome back to Sweet Potato Soul. Today we are going to be making something so special with this enormous bunch of collard greens. We're going to be making authentic, southern, smoky, and tender vegan collard greens. Now listen, you do not need ham hock, you do not need smoked turkey neck to make amazing, tender, and smoky collard greens. I'm gonna show you how to get that smoky flavor, that tender texture without using any animal products. And if you don't believe me, you can ask my whole family or thousands of other people who have already started making this recipe because it is in my cookbook and in my blog. Now, if you're new to this recipe, I think you're gonna love it. But before we dive in, just take a second to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Eating collard greens on New Year's Day are an important tradition in my household and the household of so many Black folks here in the United States. Why? Because collard greens and black-eyed peas are said to bring the person who's eating them good luck and good fortune in the year to come. I take this very seriously. I don't think I haven't eaten collard greens and black-eyed peas on New Year's Day since I started eating solid foods. I do not skip this ritual. So that's why it's so important to me. First things first, we need to wash these collard greens. So just like my grandma and all the grandmas before her, we're gonna go ahead and take these to the sink and wash them in there. You know, these stems at the bottom, we don't really need these, so I can show you a way to upcycle them if you're interested. But we're gonna just kind of cut the leaves off the top. And some of these are a little wilted because yes, they were on my back porch and no, it was not freezing all day because I do live in Atlanta. But we're gonna cut off the good greens and we're gonna transfer them to the sink where we're getting a nice rinse before we cut out their spines and cut them into thin ribbons. So these collard greens are pretty clean. However, traditionally, what you would do to clean your collard greens, because they were a lot dirtier, they might have just come out of your garden, is sprinkle some kosher salt or sea salt, any type of salt, over the collard greens and let that kill any bugs, especially any worms that and caterpillars that love to eat collard greens and other cruciferous vegetables. So the salt is going to help them get clean. Could be a little abrasive too, I suppose, and helping get off dirt in addition to bugs. But these are pretty clean. I still needed to wash them here in the sink because there's just so many of them. It's just a lot more efficient to do it this way. Just make sure that you clean your sink ahead of time. I sprayed mine with bleach and then I filled it with water and here we are. We're just gonna get them nice and clean. Any of the dirt, any of the sand and debris is gonna just settle to the bottom. Once your collard greens are nice and clean, I like to just take them out of the water, shake off any excess dirt and put them on a kitchen towel to dry a little bit. They're not gonna be perfectly dry when we cut them, but dry enough, and then you can roll up the towel. Give them a little pat pat. There you go. And a little bit drier. Here. I'm gonna shake them off too. Whatever you gotta do, because you don't want them to be too wet. Now that we have our clean collard greens, we are going to take out our paring knife and we're gonna go to work taking out that center stalk, the rib or the spine of the collard green, whatever you want to call it. This has got to come out. It doesn't have to come out, I should say, because maybe you like having a little bit more crunch and a little bit more fiber in your collard greens. That's fine, you can keep it in. Just know that the lower down, closer to the roots you go on the collard green, the tougher the stem will be. Higher up, it's a little bit more tender. So maybe you want to do half, maybe you want to take out all, maybe you want to leave it all, it's up to you. But all we're going to do is we're going to take a sharp paring knife. We're going to lay each leaf flat on the cutting board and simply just cut down along the stem. Basically, we're cutting the leaf off of the stem, and it's quite easy. There we go. And then what we're going to do, we're going to fold this leaf up, just put it to the side, and we're going to continue that with the rest of our leaves, and then we're going to chop them. If you have absolutely no interest in going through all this process, you can buy pre-washed and pre-cut collard greens. But here's the thing, the way they cut them is not ideal. They're usually cut into chunks, not into ribbons. That's gonna make a big difference when you cook your collard greens. They're not gonna be as tender. And they leave a lot of the stem still in the bag. I don't like that, so I always wash my own collard greens, but if you must, you must. Now that you have a nice stack of leaves, you're gonna roll them up until you have a nice tight cigar shape. Then you're gonna take your sharp knife and thinly slice down the length of the leaves to give yourself nice thin ribbons. These ribbons, when they cook down, are gonna make for the most tender collard greens without a long cook time. Collard greens are like all other greens. They will cook down significantly. So I might have 2 huge bowls right now, but once they're cooked, they are gonna be like a sixth of this. Before we get to the cooking, we've gotta prep 2 more ingredients. We need our garlic and our tomatoes. Now the garlic isn't obvious. You gotta add garlic. The tomatoes, however, are a little bit untraditional. I like to add tomatoes because they add a little bit of acid and subtle sweetness to the collard greens. Both of those combined help to really balance out the flavors and also the bitterness of the collard greens. Because I have a lot of collard greens, I'm gonna need a lot of garlic. This is my Costco bag of garlic. I'm not gonna take a bunch of time to chop every single clove of garlic. Instead, we're gonna take the skins off this garlic and put it in the food processor, and that way it'll be minced in seconds. I have 5 beautiful tomatoes here. You can use an assortment of any type of tomato. These are just like regular vine ripened tomatoes. Give them a dice and then we'll add them to our cooking collard greens. They're gonna cook down significantly, so you do not have to worry about how perfect they're cut. Now we have our collard greens and all of our other ingredients prepped. We can start to cook. Always make sure to prep your ingredients before you turn the stove on. That way you will not have to worry about anything burning in the process, especially after you have put so much time and effort into this. You gotta make sure that it all works out. And otherwise, it's so easy to make collard greens. Just do all your prep ahead of time. While our collard greens cook, let's talk about a few interesting facts about this amazing and ancient superfood. Collard greens were originally cultivated in the Mediterranean. They made their way throughout the Mediterranean and into Europe and eventually into the entire continent of Africa, where they are still very popular in West African and East African cuisine. Eventually, they also made their way to the New World, which is where we live right now, especially to the American South, where they became a staple vegetable for years, for centuries. And even today, it is one of the most common vegetables we eat down here in the South. As you see, I'm cooking my collard greens for a long time, but it's not even necessary to cook them at all. Collard greens can be eaten raw. In my cookbook, I have a collard green coconut salad that is super tasty. You just want to make sure to marinate collard greens in a dressing and give them a nice massage to help to break down the cell wall of the leaf. Breaking down that cell wall is going to make them more tender and more palatable and tasty, also take away some of the bitterness, but it's also going to make it so that those nutrients are more readily available in your body when you consume them. I think people should be eating collard greens on a weekly basis because they are so nutritious. However, the most common way to enjoy them is in a holiday like Thanksgiving or Christmas dinner, and especially on New Year's Day. But collard greens are not just good for bringing cash to your bank account, they're also very nutritious. I call them a superfood because they're so high in fiber, plant-based protein, all sorts of vitamins and minerals like vitamin A, vitamin K, vitamin C, and they've got their own special properties. Collard greens are part of the cruciferous family, which is also home to cabbage, cauliflower, broccoli, even kale. And these vegetables are known for having great anti-cancer and other protective benefits in the body. In the United States, collard greens are very popular, especially in the American South, so you shouldn't have a hard time finding them at the grocery store. However, they are easy to grow, or so I hear. I don't grow anything, not this time of year, and they are great for growing in the winter and spring months when it's colder outside. Like kale, collard greens are super hardy and can overwinter just fine. Thanks so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you have a wonderful start of 2024. I will be back in the new year with plenty more content to help you live a healthy, happy, and delicious vegan life. If you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and turn on notifications. Thanks to you guys, I've been able to get to over 700,000 followers, and I feel so proud about that. We're gonna make it to 1 million in 2024, just you wait and see. I really appreciate you guys sharing these videos and leaving comments, and of course, subscribing and turning on notifications. All of those things are the best way you can support this channel. But I want to support you too, and I have a lot more resources to help you live a healthy, happy life. You guys know I have a blog, sweetpotatosoul.com, but did you know I also send a newsletter twice a week that is full of resources, including delicious vegan recipes and a free meal plan. So if you haven't already, please take a moment to sign up for the newsletter. The link will be down below in the description box. Thank you guys so much for watching this video and for being with me on this journey. Here's to another great year here on YouTube. 2024 is gonna be my 13th year here, so I'll see you then. Bye. Looks like seaweed. Smells like grandma's kitchen. It smells like Thanksgiving and New Year's Day. So yummy.